Hello, my friends. Esther here. And in today's video, we are talking about budgeting. I'm going to share with you how I budget and how I do things while having medical bills that vary month to month. I recently did a video sharing how much I spend, and I talked about August and September specifically. I wrote down everything that I spent on my health in those months and added it up and shared that with you. So if you're interested in how much I spend, you can go watch that video there. But today I want to talk about how I budget for it, how I plan for it, when I honestly have no idea how much everything is going to cost. So let's get to it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new, use the links in the description below and you can learn about all of my chronic illnesses because I have a lot of them. But I make videos here on my channel about life with chronic illness. So make sure you're subscribed if you want to live the most amazing life while living chronically ill. So today we're talking about money, you guys. I'm going to share with you how I budget. I am not a budgeting expert by any means. And I feel like I'm always kind of like changing and adapting things that I do, but I found a system that works really well for us. And I'm going to share that with you today. So I made myself a little budgeting board too. So I will share that with you and how we budget all the things while living chronically ill. So let's do it. So first of all, the easiest things to budget are the weekly expenses, in my opinion. So things like groceries and toilet paper and all of that stuff. So depends on you. I asked on Instagram recently how much you guys spend on groceries each week, and that varied from $100 per person per month to $400 per person per month. So it varied a lot. What we spend currently right now, we used to do $100 a week for our whole family. We have a family of four, so that would be, what would that be? $100 per person per month. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we used to do. We actually just increased it to $150 a week. So that, that adds a lot. Like that adds $200 a month. But we just felt like we didn't ever have food in our house. And both me and my husband just were always stressed when we went to the grocery store, and we felt like we were not able to get the things we wanted. And so we decided, let's just try it out. So we increased it. And right now, I don't keep holding this up for you, but not ready for it yet. Right now, we spend $150 a week for our family's groceries. And let me just say that I think it's a lot easier to budget weekly when it comes to the normal stuff, right? Like not medical, not stuff that comes up randomly, but I find that budgeting weekly helps a lot with especially groceries. And I have one other category I'll talk to you about in just a minute, my other family category. But budgeting that weekly is so much easier because then if it's Wednesday and my budget resets on Friday, it's a lot easier for me to be like, oh, I don't need to go to the grocery store today. Budget resets Friday. I'll be fine. But if I've spent all of my budget and I still have a week left until I get to reset it, then I end up going over because it's just too long and I can't make it that long. Anyway, point is, it helps with those things to just budget them weekly. So we do $150 for food for our family. Now, Jordan Page, she is supposedly the budgeting expert. She says $100 per month per person. And I feel like that is really hard because that's what she says for groceries and other stuff. Now, that's just our grocery budget, but we also have our other budget. So we spend way more than she recommends. I don't know. That just sounds crazy to me. So we spend $150 a week on that. And then I have what I call my other family budget, and that is everything else. So that's, oh, my kids need jackets. It's winter time. Or we need more diapers. Or Josh got a hole in his pants. We need to go buy him some new pants, or just the stuff that always comes up, right? There's always things that comes up. We do $100 per week of that stuff, and something always comes up, always. But if there's something bigger we want, maybe we can save up. We all want to go to the zoo. We can maybe save up for the next week so that we can all go to the zoo, or we can all go out to eat, or whatever we want to do. We can save up and have $200 next week if we don't end up spending it. But I'll be honest, we usually end up spending it because with kids and illnesses and stuff, things always come up, right? That you're like, oh, but I just really need this thing. Like yesterday it was an eye mask. I just really need a new eye mask. I have a budget for that. So let me show you on my big chart. I might need to scoot back. Okay, hold on. So I know my microphone is like in shot, but I don't know how to get it not in shot. So we're just going to leave it there. So I apologize. But here is upside down. So here is my budget. Now I'm just leaving it. This is October's budget. So we've kind of like gone through some of it. I probably should have done it like mid-month. So I'm just going to pull it out as is. So this week we spent all of our grocery money and we spent all except $20 of our other budget. And so that money will roll over to the next week for whatever else we need next week. And then I have this side, and this is like our monthly budget. So this is what we budget weekly for, is our food and our other family stuff. And then this is our monthly. So we have a Costco budget. We do $200 a month at Costco. We usually end up spending more around $400 at Costco, but then that's also our grocery money for the week. So like if we go to Costco, usually the first week of the month, we have our $200 Costco budget, and then we have our weekly budgets too. And usually we don't have to go to the grocery store, or we only need a little bit of stuff after we go to Costco for the week's groceries anyway. So we usually end up using that week's grocery money and our other budget. I hope this is making sense. Anyway, things can be moved around. It's very loose, but also structured, if you know what I mean. Okay, and then we have, which we call our fun money. It's basically no questions asked money. You can buy anything you want. So this is actually the last month we're doing this. Since we increased our grocery budget, we decided to X our fun money for now until we maybe, I don't know, make a little bit more money. We'll maybe add it back in. But we used to do $50 a month, no questions asked fun money. So you could go spend it on whatever you wanted. I won't say anything. If he buys a video game, he won't say anything if I buy another throw pillow, right? That's no questions asked money. So I think we might X that after this month and now just use our other family money where we, maybe have to get permission from the other person before we purchase something. But we're usually pretty relaxed with each other. Like we're not, if I really want something, he usually has no problem letting me get it. So it won't be a big deal. But that's kind of how we're evening that out with increasing our grocery budget. And then we have date money and then medical. And this is what we call adult purchases. These are things that we don't want to buy, but we have to buy. So being an adult, that's what we call these purchases. So medical, normal people who aren't sick all the time would probably combine those two categories, but I need two because my body is broken and I go through a lot of medical bills. So what I do, everything else is like what we have left for the month or what we have left for the week. The number that's on there, these two are how much we've spent because they change and I don't know how much we're going to spend. So I add those up. So there's a plus sign. So that reminds me that like, hey, this is how much you've spent, not how much you have left, right? So far I spent $73 on medical this month, which is pretty great, but I'm waiting for some bills to go in. So I'm sure it's going to increase pretty soon. So don't be too happy about that one. And then don't worry. We had some car problems this month and spent $625 to repair the brakes on my car. So that was in our adult purchases. And these are the categories of things that I cannot control and that I have no say. Like when I go to groceries, I have a say on what I pick and what I don't and how much I spend. I have no say on these, right? I mean, I don't have to get my car fixed unless I want to, but I really want to get my car fixed so I can drive. And I really want to get myself fixed so that I can function as a human. So these two categories are the ones that are the hardest to budget around. So let me tell you what I do here. Also, just so you know, the rest of we never use this section, but this was supposed to be like a chore chart. So maybe when my kids are older, I don't know. This section here is my to-do list. So usually we'll add things like that I want to get done. Usually it's like family stuff we want to get done. I have my own to-do list. This here is our shopping list that I write down. We just went grocery shopping, so I don't have anything to write down. And then here is our meal plan for the week. And I'll blur this part out, but this is like emergency contact information if somebody is watching our kids or something. I have it in my pantry, so it's always up and everybody can see it. If somebody goes shopping, they can go write down how much they spent. yada yada. So I don't know if that made sense, but let's move back to my normal spot so that I can finish this. Okay, so now let's explain how to do the medical part of this. So I do the same thing for like our other adult purchases we have to make because we're adults and we have a house and we have cars and that kind of stuff. So it's the same thing, but I have two separate ones. I have a medical one and I have an other section. And what I do is I average out over the past year, ideally, but as far back as you want to go, how much I've spent every month on. So we're just going to stick with medical bills. How much I spent on medical bills every month. So I talked about this in my last video where I shared how much I spent on my health, but I'm just going to give out a few of the numbers that I had. So September, I spent about $800. August, I spent like $300. At July, I spent like $200. And June was about 200 the month before that. So May was more around 500. The month before that was like 600. So it kind of like varies month to month, right? But I go around and I get kind of the average. So like mine's kind of averaging around $500. Sometimes it's less than that, sometimes it's more, but that's kind of the average. And what I like to do is just go a little bit more than my average. So I might say like 600 a month. And then I go to the next month and I write down everything I spend on medical bills. I write them down on my chart and I add them all up. And so let's say next month is a low month, it's only $200, but my goal was 600. Well, now I have $400 that I didn't spend on those medical bills. And what I do is I put that in, like you can put it in a special savings account, or you can just keep track of it, whatever way you want to do it. But you can move that to a savings account, and now that's $400 that you can use on a later month that's more expensive. So we spent $200 this month. We had $400 roll over into the next into our medical fund. And then the next month we go through and we spend $500. So we have an extra $100. That $100 rolls into our medical bucket. So I decide how much I can spend based on, how much we're making. Do I need to make more money to pay for my bills? Like, how are we? Yeah. I'm almost done, sis. So if you see a little one walking behind me, we're just going to keep going here. So basically, like you're like building a fund for the future. Like I always plan for things to be more expensive in the future than I think they will be. Like I'm just thinking like, okay, what if I have to get my gallbladder out next year? How can I be prepared for that? Well, if I save a couple $100 a month until then, I would be able to have enough saved, if that makes sense. So basically you're filling up that fund. So when a month comes where, your goal for your medical bills was $600 and you spend $1,000, instead of being like, oh, no, I can't pay for it. It's like, nope, but I have this extra money in my medical fund. I can pull some of that out and now I can pay that $1,000 bill. Does that make sense? Maybe it doesn't, but that's how I do it. And I'm not perfect at it, you guys. There are months where I'm just like mentally I can't deal with it and I'm like, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just going to pay the bills and see what the damage is at the end of the month. Like there are months where I do that. I'm getting better at it and I'm trying. Oh, thank you for my hat. Do you want me to wear it? Okay. I'm supposed to wear this hat in this video. Okay. And the idea is that we do the same thing for big purchases like car repairs and heater replacement. I don't know, stuff like that are really expensive. And then one other thing I probably should mention when it comes to medical stuff, the small stuff I typically put in my weekly money. So like supplements that I buy or pretty much anything under $100 goes from our weekly like family money and not necessarily like in the medical bucket if I can. Like sometimes with kids, I have a newborn and then I have my own medical stuff and it all is adding up all at the same time and it gets stressful. And of course that happens because life, but that's the goal. And you guys, I hope with my videos, I never sound like I'm like, this is how I do it perfectly all the time. Like genuinely, you guys, that's my goal on how I do things. But I will say I'm definitely not perfect at it. This is what works for me. Of course, everyone is different and we just all have to find what works best for us. So this is my system. If it works for you, great. If not, then I hope you find something else that works. So let me know down below, what is your most annoying thing to budget? What part of your budget just drives you crazy? Let me know down below. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I have a feeling it didn't make any sense, but if it did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you on the next one.